In September 1993, in Waterbury, Connecticut, Donna Palomba, a 36-year-old marketing executive, endured a horrifying attack inside her own home. That night, her husband John was away in Colorado for the first time in her 12-year marriage, attending a friend's wedding. Donna stayed behind to care for their 2 children, ages 5 and 7, and to handle obligations at her marketing firm. Earlier that evening, Donna had taken her children to a concert. They returned home, and she settled them in for the night. She remembered locking the front door, helping the children into their pajamas, saying their prayers, and tucking them into bed. Believing the house was secure, she went to sleep in her bedroom, unaware of the danger that would soon unfold. Sometime after midnight, Donna was awakened by the sound of footsteps. They did not resemble the soft padding of her children's feet. Alarmed, she looked toward the doorway and saw a shadowy figure, clearly male, wearing some sort of mask or face covering. Before she could scream again, the man rushed toward her, pinned her down, and clamped a hand over her mouth. He twisted her arm behind her back and issued a chilling warning. If she did not cooperate, she would be hurt. He bound her wrists and eyes with nylons, placed a pillowcase over her head, and forcibly raped her. When it was over, he shoved a gun into her mouth, then held it to her temple, and finally pressed it against her back. He warned her that if she contacted police, he would return and kill her. Then, silently, he vanished into the night. Despite her fear, Donna managed to loosen her restraints and rushed to check on her children. Finding them still asleep, she discovered that the phone lines had been cut. Terrified but determined, she ran to a neighbor's house for help, leaving her children momentarily behind. Her neighbor, Cliff, immediately called 911. During the call, Donna's voice trembled as she pleaded for advice, torn between staying with her children and seeking help. Cliff grabbed an axe and returned with her to stand guard until authorities arrived. Police quickly secured the scene, and Donna began notifying family. She was soon taken to the hospital, where a sexual assault examination was performed. DNA was collected from the attack, a critical piece of evidence that will remain in storage for years before its true significance would finally emerge. In the immediate aftermath of the assault, Donna Palomba made a difficult and deliberate decision. She would not call her husband John while he was away. He had traveled to Colorado to attend a friend's wedding, and she feared that telling him over the phone, so far from home and powerless to help, would only cause him greater anguish. Instead, she waited for his return, carrying the weight of the trauma alone to the longest night of her life. When John arrived home the next day, he immediately noticed something was wrong. A new deadbolt had been installed on the front door. That subtle change signaled something deeply unsettling. As he stepped inside and saw Donna, the truth began to unfold. The moment he learned what had happened, John was overtaken by disbelief and heartbreak. He left the room, overcome with grief, shouting no as the horror of the situation set in. John had always been deeply protective of his wife and children. Before leaving for the trip, he had reminded Donna to lock the doors. Learning that this violent crime had happened in their own bedroom, while their children slept just down the hall, was devastating. The emotional shock rippled through the entire family. Donna and John had always believed their home was a sanctuary. Now, that sense of security had been shattered. Together, they faced a painful new reality, one marked by fear, grief, and a long, uncertain path to healing. Approximately 1 month after the assault, Donna Palomba returned to Waterbury Police Department, expecting an update on the investigation. Instead, she found herself in an interrogation room, seated across from the case's lead investigator, a police lieutenant who approached the meeting not with empathy, but with suspicion. Without warning, he placed a tape recorder on the desk, unfolded a small white piece of paper, and began reading Donna her Miranda rights. Donna was stunned. She had come seeking justice, but was now being treated as a suspect. The lieutenant accused her of fabricating the entire assault. According to him, investigators had rock-solid evidence that Donna had lied. That so-called evidence was nothing more than town gossip, an unsubstantiated rumor that she had been having an affair and invented the rape story after one of her children allegedly walked in on her with a lover. Donna firmly denied the accusation. She told them it was a vicious and entirely false claim. Police records themselves showed no support for the theory. Officers had found the children asleep when they arrived, and no physical evidence contradicted Donna's account. The emotional toll of being treated like a liar after surviving such a traumatic event was overwhelming. Both Donna and her husband John felt betrayed by the very system that was supposed to protect them. In the years that followed, the Palombas sued the Waterbury Police Department for their handling of the case and eventually won. Yet, even with that legal victory, no progress had been made in identifying the rapist. Donna's pursuit of justice was stalled, not by a lack of evidence, but by the very institution entrusted with finding the truth. The re-victimization left a lasting scar, compounding the trauma she had already endured. Donna's search for justice took a new turn when Detective Neil O'Leary was assigned to her case. In stark contrast to the lieutenant who had once accused her of lying, O'Leary approached the investigation with care, professionalism, and, most importantly, belief in Donna's story. For the first time in months, the Palombas felt heard. O'Leary agreed with Donna and John's suspicion that the attacker may have been someone they knew. The details of the assault were too specific. There was no sign of forced entry, and the intruder had timed the attack perfectly, striking on a night when John was away. These clues pointed to someone familiar with their lives, not a random predator. O'Leary began focusing on a bachelor party that had taken place the same evening, attended by John's friends, co-workers, and acquaintances. It was a long shot, but O'Leary believed it was worth pursuing. He quietly began collecting DNA samples from around 40 men who had attended the event, all with their consent. Each sample was sent to the lab and compared to the DNA profile from Donna's rape kit. One after another, they came back negative. Despite O'Leary's diligence, none of the samples matched. The trail ran cold once again. Still, the tone of the investigation had shifted. Donna was no longer being treated as a liar. She was seen as a survivor, and her case as one worth solving. Although the DNA match remained elusive, Detective O'Leary had restored something Donna had nearly lost entirely: hope. After more than a decade of waiting, the break Donna and her family had long prayed for finally came, though it would shake them to their core. In 2004, Detective Neil O'Leary learned of a disturbing incident in nearby Saratoga Springs, New York. A woman had narrowly escaped an attempted abduction. The suspect? John Reagan, a well-known local figure from Waterbury. He was respected in the community, married with children, and known for his volunteer work with youth organizations. The news was unsettling, but O'Leary's mind went somewhere specific. He remembered that the groom from a 1993 bachelor party, held on the same night Donna was attacked, was Reagan's cousin. Though Reagan had not been on the official guest list, further digging confirmed that he had, in fact, attended the party. That was enough for O'Leary to request a DNA sample. Reagan, perhaps confident that his crimes would never catch up with him, agreed. When the lab results came back, they were undeniable. Reagan's DNA was a perfect match to the sample collected from Donna's rape kit. The revelation was staggering. John Palombo was devastated. Reagan had not just been an acquaintance. He had been a friend, a trusted companion, someone who had shared their dinner table, joined them on beach vacations, and smiled in family photographs. The idea that this man had brutalized his wife and then continued to socialize with them, knowing the truth every time he looked into their eyes, was almost too much to bear. For Donna, it was both a relief and a nightmare. She finally had a name, a face, and proof. But that face was one she had trusted, one that had hugged her, laughed with her, and inserted itself into her life after stealing her sense of safety. The betrayal was beyond comprehension. Justice was finally within reach. But what it cost emotionally, especially for John and Donna, could never fully be measured. Despite the relief of identifying Donna Palomba's attacker, the path to justice was far from straightforward. By the time investigators confirmed the DNA match in 2004, the statute of limitations for prosecuting rape in Connecticut had already expired. It was a devastating technicality. However, prosecutors found another avenue. Reagan was charged with kidnapping, a crime that still fell within the legal window. He pleaded not guilty. But before that case could be fully resolved, Reagan's dark impulses emerged again, this time in Saratoga Springs, New York. In October 2005, he attempted to abduct 17-year-old Lindsay Ferguson, a local track star, in broad daylight after practice. Thankfully, coaches nearby noticed a struggle and intervened, managing to rescue Lindsay before Reagan could get her into his vehicle. What police found in his van was chilling. A tarp, a syringe, slip knots, duct tape, rope. These were not random items. This was a predator prepared for something far worse. The discovery painted a disturbing picture of premeditation and intent. This time, there was no ambiguity. Reagan was charged in New York and later pleaded guilty to attempted kidnapping and other related charges. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. In 2006, Connecticut authorities proceeded with their own case for the 1993 attack on Donna. Though Reagan did not offer a full confession, he acknowledged the strength of the evidence against him. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, to run concurrently with a sentence he was already serving in New York. These convictions made one thing chillingly clear. Donna had not been Reagan's only intended victim. His actions revealed a pattern of calculated, predatory behavior that could have continued for years, if not for the resilience of survivors and the persistence of investigators. For many survivors, the conclusion of a prison sentence marks the end of a long and painful chapter. But for Donna Palomba, justice was not yet complete. In 2017, after serving nearly 12 years of a sentence in New York, John Reagan became eligible for release. The Connecticut sentence, stemming from Donna's case, had been ordered to run concurrently. That meant he could walk free without serving additional time for the attack that had changed Donna's life forever. She was stunned, and she was not willing to stay silent, determined to protect others from potential harm. Donna worked closely with New York prosecutors and mental health experts under the state's Sex Offender Management and Treatment Act, a law designed to keep dangerous offenders under strict supervision if they were deemed likely to reoffend. In 2021, nearly 3 decades after the night she was attacked, Donna testified in court once again. She relived the trauma in front of a jury, this time not for herself alone, but for every potential future victim. The jury deliberated and reached a unanimous decision. Reagan suffered from a mental abnormality that made him likely to commit similar crimes again. Based on that finding, a judge ordered that Reagan not be released outright. Instead, he would remain under state supervision in a secure mental health facility or in specially monitored housing, indefinitely. For Donna, the verdict brought more than relief. It was, in her own words, elating. It meant that her voice had made a difference, not just in her own case, but for public safety at large. For Reagan, it marked the end of his legal battles. For Donna, it was the closure of a long, painful journey toward justice that she had refused to abandon. Donna Palomba could have quietly returned to her life, content with the justice she had fought so hard to achieve. But she chose a different path, one of purpose, advocacy, and transformation. In the years following the final verdict, Donna founded Jane Doe No More, a nonprofit organization with a powerful mission to empower survivors of sexual assault, improve the way society responds to them, and eliminate the shame often placed on victims. Through education programs, survivor support initiatives, and training for law enforcement, Jane Doe No More has helped reshape conversations around sexual violence. Donna's voice, once silenced by disbelief and humiliation, became a catalyst for change, ensuring that others would not suffer in silence as she once had. Her work reached far beyond her own case. It gave strength to countless others. As for the Palomba family, they moved forward with resilience. The scars remained, but so did their strength. United by the trauma they endured, they became a testament to the power of truth, love, and unrelenting determination. Donna Palomba was no longer Jane Doe. She was an advocate, a fighter, a survivor who made sure others would be believed. If Donna's story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true crime stories.